Okay, so handstand push-ups are probably one of, if not the most sought after skill that people want to learn when they start calisthenics. For good reason. I mean, it showcases a brilliant blend between balance and strength, but also they just look really, really cool. I actually can't even remember the first time I held a handstand, but I definitely remember my first handstand push-up. If there was a list for the most ugliest reps of all time, it would definitely be quite high up on there. But like any true naive beginner, I thought I just did the coolest shit in the world and that I was pretty much ready for the Olympics. I shouldn't have to say, when it comes to handstand push-ups, you need to be at a certain level before you can even start attempting to train them. If you can't do 5 dips, 10 push-ups and hold a handstand for 10 seconds, and those are bare minimums by the way, ideally you can do more, but if you can't do that, I'm not even going to bother telling you to be patient and build up your base. I'm just going to say that please, whatever surface you're practicing on, make sure it's clean, because you're going to be sniffing that thing a hell of a lot. When it comes to training for handstand push-ups, we're basically going to work through a bunch of different progressions, each one harder than the last one. So the first progression is pike push-ups, basically just taking a normal push-up and taking your chest a bit out of it and putting more emphasis on your shoulders. And you can do this by bending at the hips, getting to an acute angle and keeping your weight over your hands. The more acute the angle, the more intense, the more weight's going to be over your hands and your shoulders. So keep that in mind. But 2 very common mistakes is losing tension in the legs because they're on the floor. So just because they're on the floor doesn't mean you can't keep tension throughout the entire body. Squeeze your glutes, squeeze your quads. Second common mistake with pike push-ups, when people push upwards, they actually push themselves back onto their feet, onto their toes, and they take pressure off their hands and shoulders. When you're doing pike push-ups, you want to try and mimic a handstand push-up as much as possible. So when you're pushing up, make sure you're pushing up in a straight line and not backwards at an angle. Second progression is now elevated pike push-ups. Very simple, it's basically the same thing except now your feet are elevated slightly higher, so there's more of your body weight over your hands. You don't have to use a wobbly ball, you can use any solid surface, it doesn't matter. I just could only find a wobbly ball. Once you build up enough strength for the first 2 progressions, the third progression is going to be doing handstand push-ups against the wall. If your main goal now is to learn a freestanding handstand push-up, we're going to completely skip over doing handstand push-ups with our back facing the wall, because it's just going to get us into the habit of bananaing or reaching with our legs for the wall, which you don't want to do. Like I said earlier, you're trying to mimic the technique behind a handstand push-up as much as possible. So we're going to focus on doing handstand push-ups with our chest facing the wall. The most important thing is that if you have to lose your shape or your form to finish off a rep, just stop. This sort of applies to everything. I think like most common is bench press. You'll see someone going for a 1 rep max and the bar's just not moving. And they someone like just break out into a dance number. They start hip thrusting the air, their feet are flailing around, they're squirming side to side. They just do whatever they can to finish the rep. And I sort of get it, like in your head you're thinking, everyone's watching me, I can't fail. If I get this weight up, they'll all be impressed. Everyone's way too busy watching what looks like you getting a lap dance from some sort of invisible octopus. What I'm trying to basically say is you can ego lift in weightlifting and you can also ego lift in calisthenics. Trust me, because I sort of do it weekly. I'm probably going to do it after this. I'm trying to help you make the mistake. Oh, I'm trying to help you not make the mistakes I make, because I'm way too far gone. In all seriousness, ego lifting is dangerous. Injury prevention should always be your #1 priority. And regardless of what sporting discipline you're doing, if you lose your form or your shape, you're loading up the wrong parts of your body with force and tension, and you don't want to do that. If you can't make it up the wall, keeping your shape, rather just take a couple minutes, relax, and you can try again later. But when it comes to handstand push-ups against the wall, the technique, we're not going to try balance it all. We're going to use the wall as our assistant. Keep your feet firmly pressed into the wall. Keep your abs and your glutes nice and tight. With the elbows, don't flare out to the sides, but rather keep them more tucked into the body. And our head is going to angle down slightly in front of our hands. You're going to go down at a slight angle and then come back up to straight. So slight angle down, back up to straight. In the beginning, you can sort of do half reps if you want, if you're a bit scared to go to full depth. And then over time, as you get stronger, you can increase the range of motion. And you can also grab a mat for your face or your head, just if you're a little bit scared. Now, we've done our pike push-ups, we've done our elevated pike push-ups, we've done our handstand push-ups against the wall with our chest facing the wall. The next step is to start working on the balance aspect. And the first progression is going to be negative handstand push-ups. You should be able to hold a handstand. You're going to start by holding a handstand. We're not going to rush. We're going to hold there for at least a second or 2. And then we're going to slowly try control our descent. And we're just going to work on the negative phase, the first part of the handstand push-up, lowering ourselves to the ground as slow as possible. And ideally, you're going to stop yourself before your head touches the ground. But if you can't, get a mat or get some sort of padding for your head. Lower yourself down into that perfect angle, keeping your abs tight. Once your head gets close to the mat, just bring the legs down 4 and start over again. I know it's very tempting now to just go for it, but don't. There's one more progression, and that's kipping handstand push-ups. For this, we're going to enter what I like to call the advanced frog pose. Instead of having your elbows bracing against your knees, with your knees on the outside, we're going to bring our knees to the inside and use our core and our abs to keep our legs in the air. From here, we're going to use our abs to lift our hips over our shoulders, then extend the legs while we're pressing with the arms at the same time to enter a handstand. You're going to use a lot of explosive ability and a lot of momentum to get yourself up. Now try hold yourself at the top for a second or two so you can actually balance as well, then come down. And then once you get, so don't rush this, right? Take your time, see if you can get that comfortable. Once you can do that, we're going to try eliminate the momentum behind it and basically slowly rise from the advanced frog into a handstand. So instead of relying on the leg drive to get us up, we're going to try to rely on our strength. If you can do a controlled kipping handstand, for lack of a better term, you can basically do a handstand push-up. You're there and you're ready to start trying freestanding attempts. The form behind the handstand stays consistent throughout. You want tension throughout the entire body. Just remember, when you're going down, you're going at a slight angle forward, keeping your abs tight so your legs don't come down, and then pressing back up into a straight line. We're not just trying to go straight up and down, because then the chances are you're just going to scorpion, and also you're not getting a full range of motion because your elbows are going to be flaring out to the side as opposed to tucking into the body. So how you're going to structure your training is sort of in the complete reverse order. So once you've warmed up, I would recommend you start freestanding handstand push-up attempts, and then you work your way through the progressions in reverse order. So you're still getting the strength stimulus by doing the pike push-ups and all of that at the end. But yeah, that's sort of how you're going to go about getting your first handstand push-up. Any other things you want to try, you want me to make a video about, like any other tutorials, let me know in the comments. I can't plant or any shit like that, so please don't ask me to do that because I can't do it. One day, if I get to a decent level with that sort of stuff, I'll be more than happy to try detail my journey and how I got there. But right, my voice keeps on breaking. It's like I'm going through puberty again. If there's other things that you can see that I can do, let me know and I can see if I can try and make a tutorial on that. So I hope you guys have a great day and all the best with your handstand training.